رسول الله رسول الله رسول الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Very nice to see you all, and I would say to you congratulations. And the reason why I am congratulating you is because many individuals in their teaching, no matter how many years they've been teaching, some fail to realize that you can never obtain enough of training and meeting your fellow colleagues on the journey to become better teachers. So congratulations to you, inshallah. May Allah Azza wa Jal bless you all and guide you in your teaching. I was given the brief regarding classroom management, and I've always gone against that term, both as a trainee teacher as well as a teacher, qualified teacher. I've always gone against that term, because no matter where I go, which teacher training courses I personally attend, the emphasis is usually on that which is negative. So I've challenged that term, classroom management, and I prefer to speak of enriching behavior, okay, in the Islamic Academy. Now, what is the Islamic Academy? By the Islamic Academy, I mean the Hawza, the faith school, the madrasa, and the university, which is orientated towards imparting knowledge based upon an Islamic paradigm. So the Islamic Academy is multifaceted, and alhamdulillah, we have been blessed to work within one aspect of the Islamic Academy, and in my mind it's the most important one, and that is the madrasa, because it's within the madrasa that the norms and values of Islam are imparted to the next generation. It is within the madrasa where the stabilization of the individual Muslim personality is achieved. And I've always spoken of the madrasa being one of the fundamental pillars of the Muslim community. The resident alim, the imam bagha, the Muslim family, and the madrasa. These are the pillars of the Muslim communities wherever they show themselves. So we have been blessed by Allah Azza wa Jal to be given a chance to enrich the lives of our learners in the myriad of ways in which they can be enriched. So this is why I choose to use the term enriching behavior rather than classroom management. Now, I'm sure the term classroom management has merit for other individuals, but it's my own personal approach to the whole discourse. So how do we go about enriching the behavior of our learners, our young boys and girls who have presented themselves within the madrasa to receive something, whatever it is they believe they're going to receive? Because I'm sure you know as well as I do that as many students which are in the madrasa, there are as many reasons for being there. And it's our role as proactive teachers within the Islamic educative environment to know why our learners are there so that we can effectively transfer the body of knowledge which we have to them. Okay? So I root this discussion which we're going to have, this idea of enriching behaviour or classroom management, under the heading of professionalism. Okay? And I use the term professional standards. Classroom management or enriching behaviour has to be located somewhere. Where is it going to be located? In my mind, it's located under the broad heading of professional standards which we as practitioners are asked to exhibit in our behaviour, our professional behaviour within the classroom. Most of us, alhamdulillah, we work outside of the home. Some of us, we work in the home. And if we work for an employer, the employer expects us to adhere to particular standards which represent the organization that we work for. Likewise, within the madrasa, within teaching, there are certain professional Islamic standards which we as teachers, as faculty members, must inculcate within our practice. We must bring them into our practice when we teach. And there are many standards. Let me mention two, because as I mentioned, there are many and we don't have much time. One of the first standards which we can identify as practitioners within the madrasa is always teaching from an aspect of empowerment. That we empower our learners. That we create an environment for our learners where they feel safe and secure, where they feel valued. By the empowerment which we bring to our learners' existence within the classroom, they are able then to engage effectively with the body of knowledge which we want to transfer from ourselves to their hearts, to their minds, and to their souls. So, one of the professional standards, as I mentioned, is teaching from an aspect of empowering the learner, allowing the learner to be securely rooted within the educational environment which we are working to create. Another standard, the second of the two which I wanted to mention to you, is that of always expecting the best of our learners. Teaching to the ability of the learner, not teaching below the ability. And here, many behavioral issues may come about if we teach below the ability of our learner. Always challenging the learner to do better. These are standards which teachers adhere to within the Islamic Academy. They are part and parcel of the teacher's makeup. They are not optional. We cannot opt in and opt out of them. We have a responsibility within the madrasa not only to bring about betterment and enrichment of our learners' lives, but also to allow that betterment and that enrichment to impact upon our lives. So it's a two-way process. We impact upon the learners impact upon us. We impact upon the learners impact upon us. And simultaneously, we both develop. There is no singular development within the Islamic Academy. Development is always based upon the group. We as teachers develop as we teach. We teach, we reflect, we change. We teach, we reflect, we change. This signals a teacher who is committed to the true ethos of Islamic education, which is enrichment, change within the lives of their learners as well as themselves. So, professional standards are crucial. And what do I mean by this? Well, as you can see on the slide, it reads that professionalism or professional standards, they indicate craft knowledge. We are craftsmen and craftswomen. Okay? We have a craft, and our craft is teaching. There are individual craftsmen and craftswomen who are more advanced on the journey. But they are always aspiring to that which is better. There are some who have just begun the journey, and so now they are getting to grips with the craft. So professional standards or professionalism relates to the craft knowledge. Craft knowledge is one of the ways in which we are able to explore teachers' professionalism. Professionalism for Brown and McIntyre is seen in the professional knowledge and thought which teachers use in their day-to-day classroom teaching. It is knowledge which is not made explicit by teachers, and teachers are not always conscious of using it. How many times have we been in a situation where we are teaching and there is a flow of thoughts and ideas? It is as if we are made for that moment. Without thinking, we do certain things which bring about understanding for our learners. It is as if we have prearranged every single step of the session which we are taking. And we emerge from that session thinking, oh my gosh, something special took place there. You don't know how it happened, but it just did happen. That's the craft knowledge. That's the flow. That's you being in tune with your learners, the environment within which you are teaching, the knowledge which you are imparting. It's not always made explicit. This is what I am going to do. No, you do it naturally. Okay? So, professionalism in many ways can be identified by saying, this individual does this way. When we are teaching the lovely young boys and young girls who are in our sessions, and somebody was to observe us, a fly on the wall, say, what impression would they have of our teaching? Are we rigid? Are we a dictator? It has to be this way. Do we raise our voices and shout at our young boys and young girls? Is it my way or no way? Do we line them up, regiment style, then sit them down, no talking, get on with your work, and we teach A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And when the young boys and young girls, they leave our qabr, because that's what it is. It's a graveyard. When they leave our graveyard of a classroom, they say, Ya Allah, never again. Yes? Yeah? So, when we look at enriching behavior or classroom management, let us not only look at the learners who are in the classroom. Let us shine a light on ourselves. What do we do in our practice to bring about certain behavior which is disruptive? What is it that we do well so that when we do it, that craft knowledge, the session runs smoothly? And this is very important for us, because part of our professionalism is to be a reflective practitioner, to be a reflective teacher, a teacher who reflects honestly on their teaching. How have I made my class feel? Is it how I wanted to feel when I was young? Has the teacher poured cold water into my heart? Or has the teacher enveloped my heart with kindness, with empathy, with understanding, and with love? So our teaching, it poses a challenge. And let me explain to you what I mean by this. If we teach only the individual in front of us, that individual, that young boy, Muhammad, or Ali, or Zainab, or Fatima, if we are only teaching them, then personally I think we have missed the true meaning of our being there in the madrasa. What we need to do, I would suggest, respectfully to you, is that we need to see the young boy and the young girl, Ali, Hassan, Fatima, Zainab, who is sitting in front of us as representing something. Firstly, they are representing their family. They will bring back what we have given them to their family environment. Secondly, they are representative of their, inshallah, future children. Because if we work to root them within the loving environment which the madrasa should be, if we work to enrich their hearts with the tawheedic knowledge which we are asked to deliver, then what we give to the child there, they will pass on to their children. And their children will pass on to their children. So our role is not only to see the individual in front of us. Our role is to teach as if we are teaching future generations. So that when the child's children ask them, Mummy or Baba, why cannot I see Allah? Why? Why do I have to pray? Why do I have to fast? Why do we say that Islam is in tune with the very fitrah of humanity? when they ask these questions, then the child is able to fall back on what you delivered. Do you see why the madrasa then is one of the pillars of the Shia community? If there is imbalance in the madrasa, there is imbalance in the Shia community. The resident alim, the Imam Bagha, the Muslim faith school, and the Muslim family, as well as the madrasa. Hasn't Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said that the ummah is like a body, and when one part of the body is feeling pain, then all the body feels pain. If one of the elements, and here is your responsibility and mine, if one of the elements of the Muslim Ummah, the Shia community, is not in tune with the rest, if it is limping along, if there is no investment in it, if teachers are indifferent to the education which they are giving the child, if there is no organization in the madrasa, if children are running around uncared for, if we do not scrutinize who comes into the madrasa to teach our children, if the madrasa is not in tune with the life which the child lives within contemporary British society, then we are stifling the development not only of the child, but also of the Shia community. And one way in which we are able to work for the Imam, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif, one way we are able to work for him is in the madrasa. You want to do jihad? Go to the madrasa. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. So, if you want to do jihad in the true sense, the madrasa is the arena in which we as professional practitioners can work to lay the foundation for the Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif to return by enriching the lives of the child or the children. Returning back to craft knowledge, which I'm sure all of you are engaged with. So it resides in a person with a legitimate teaching identity. This term, legitimate teaching identity, is crucial. If you are not confident in yourself, if you constantly question your right to be in the madrasa. Yes, we should question, but we should question in a positive manner. Am I really working for the Imam? Am I really doing this fi sabilillah? That's good. That means that we are constantly honest with ourselves. We are shining the light on our nafs, and we are asking, why am I in the madrasa? Am I there to be seen, so I can occupy some important position within the community and order around children? and order around my peers? Or am I there to bring peace and harmony, stability, love, and compassion to the lives of the children? So the teacher identity which we have, which is a legitimate one, is always rooted in reflection, constantly reflecting. Now, if we do not see ourselves as having a legitimate teaching identity, then we are going to bring confusion to the madrasa. A legitimate teaching identity is rooted in khidmat, servitude of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Yes, there are some teachers who you look at and you say to yourself, I can never be like them. Look how good they are. Okay? But they had to start somewhere. Nobody is like Rasulullah. Natural. Nobody. No one is like any of the Masumin. Natural teachers. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة. Here is teaching. Teaching. يعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة. Teaching them the kitab, the Quran, and the hikmah, the sunnah. They are natural teachers. It is in their DNA to teach, and they are the best examples of how to impart knowledge to individuals via their ashab. Okay? We, on the other hand, we may have a love for teaching, but we have to acquire the craft knowledge. We have to acquire the legitimate teaching identity. So when we see somebody doing it as we believe in a natural manner, we have to say to ourselves, Alhamdulillah, I can get there. If you do not believe you have this identity, then you are not going to be effective in the madrasa. Once you are there, fi sabilillah, once you are working to crush your nafs, then you have opened the door to acquiring that identity. Be positive about your presence in the madrasa and always be honest. Once you find your intention going away from what it should be, then step back from the madrasa. Assume a different role, whether it's cleaning up, whether it's making the tea, whether it's becoming a classroom assistant, whether it's going in with the registers. And only when your intention is rooted in love of Allah Azza wa Jal and wanting to aid the young boys and girls in the madrasa, then move back into a teaching role. Teaching is not to show off. Teaching is to lower yourself. That's where the legitimate teaching identity is. That's where the praxis is. That's where the reality is. That is where the change is. And if children encounter you moving along the path in this manner, they will gravitate towards you. They will see in you the true role model which they want to be. You will have them, as they say, eating out of the palm of your hand. Why? Because they see in you the truth. If you make a mistake in the classroom, you say, I made a mistake. You don't try and cover it up. Children are not unaware of these things. And when you openly say, I made a mistake, children can embrace this, because what are we saying? I, as a role model, I am showing that I am willing to say, I have made a mistake. Now you sweet boy and sweet girl, this is the type of behavior I want you to embrace also. When you make a mistake, you must be honest enough to say, I have made a mistake. Yes? When we don't know something, when we do not know something, it is not for us to try and cover up that we don't know, or give some obscure answer that rather confuses the child, rather than bringing about clarity to their heart, to their soul, and to their mind. Heart, soul, and mind. Heart, soul, and mind. Spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, academic intelligence. So that when we don't know something, we say, I don't know, but I am going to join you on the journey of discovery. Children place their confidence in such individuals. And it's by gaining the confidence of our learners that we are able to enrich behavior, classroom manage. The onus then is on us as teachers in the madrasa. Yes? The onus is on us. The children are there to be loved. Yes, children have to exhibit a certain type of behavior, but they can only exhibit it if they have the examples. And unfortunately, as we all know, at home, many of those examples are not present. And the children come to us in a state in which they shouldn't be. We have to understand their personal biography. We have to understand where they are coming from. We have to understand that we need to take time to talk to the children, to not be curriculum-led. I have to get through X or Y. They need to know this by this date. Leave that aside. Firstly, we need to know our children. We need to sit and speak with them. We need to give them time and the room to open up themselves to us. It's only when we know them, then we can effectively teach them. If we don't know our learners, how can we really engage in transformative teaching? I would say it's impossible. So this legitimate identity, this teaching identity is something acquired while engaged in the process of teaching. It results from a transformation an individual teacher undergoes as they discover just how teachers behave and why they behave in that manner. Again, professionalism. Unfortunately, when we discuss behavior management, we sometimes focus on, as I mentioned at the beginning, the negative aspect. Try and see the good in our learners, no matter what it is. Okay. We are beginning a session and we have a group of boys and girls who have just come back from playtime. Okay, inshallah, in your madrasa you do have playtime, don't you? Yeah? Imagine there are some madrasas which don't have playtime. They don't factor it in. It's just from one class to the next. Never mind. But that's not in our example, is it? Playtime is an integral part of the madrasa. So the young boys and girls are boisterous, they're shouting, they're laughing, and they enter our classroom in that manner, laughing and shouting. And it usually takes about 10 minutes to calm them down. I know some of you only have 50 or 40 minutes. In some madrasas, they only have 30 minutes. How can we claw back those 10 minutes and utilize all of our time? One strategy could be, it's just one scenario of many, to meet the students outside the classroom. So before they come in, Assalamu alaikum, boys, girls, how are you? Wow, you look like you've been having a really good time. Okay, now we're having warm down time or calm down time or settling time, no matter what you want to call it. And we're going to take 1 minute to slowly settle down outside of the classroom. Everybody look at their watches. Some of them have got watches. Maybe some of them have phones. Starting from now. Deep breathing, breathe from your stomach. Settling down, calming down. Thinking about what we're going to be doing in the classroom. It was really good outside. We had a really wonderful time. But now we're moving into the classroom. Slowly, slowly. Use all that energy now to think about the lesson which we are going to do. And anybody who can tell me what we did last session is going to get a prize. It could be a gold sticker, yeah, on the reward chart that you have in your classroom. Okay, Ahmad, well done, Ahmad. Pick out somebody who's calmed down nicely. Well done, Ahmad. Alhamdulillah, Zainab, positive reinforcement. Well done, class. Absolutely fantastic. All of you are brilliant. You're all going to get a sticker. Positive reinforcement. You've disarmed them in many instances. Yes, there may be one child who takes longer. Abu Bakr? Okay? Good boy, good boy, good boy. We are inclusive. We are inclusive. Okay? Abu Bakr is a child. Okay? We are inclusive. Okay? Now we go in. Everybody, as you go in, you say salawat, and that spends the energy. Loudest salawat that you can do, class. Okay? They shout loudly. And now they enter into the classroom, but they don't sit down. They wait for you to ask them, not to tell them, to ask them to sit down. It's all positive. Please, young boys, young girls, please sit down. What have you done? You've regained those 9 minutes. Hopefully, you've forestalled any problems which might arise in the classroom. Classroom management does not only take place in the classroom, it also takes place outside of the classroom. Okay, I haven't got much time left. I've run out of my time. What I will do is I will make these slides available to our doctor so he can email them to you if you want them. I have a number of handouts that I've prepared for you, so you can have them as well. Okay, so we're moving into question and answer time now. Are there any questions?
Different is teaching with a lot of things. It's inside that person who's going to be a teacher. So it's not pretending to be a teacher. It's should something is inside.
Yes.
So already has degree or already has some knowledge. If he doesn't love or he don't love, he doesn't love teach, he can't be successful.
Sure.
So love teaching is very
Yes, that's a nice question. Khanum, she says, if the individual doesn't love to teach, regardless of the qualifications they have, PGCE, DITOs, BEd, whatever, can they teach? Okay. there are two types of teaching. There is the one where you impart information, and there is the one where you impart knowledge. Knowledge transforms. Knowledge enriches. Anybody can give information. So I would say that that individual who does not love to teach and is just going through the motions is really engaged in information delivery rather than knowledge delivery. And knowledge delivery asks you to teach in solidarity with your learners, to care about your learners, okay, to empathize with them, to put your place in their place and say, how do I want to be taught? That's teaching in the truest sense, in which the Masumin were engaged in. People have knowledge, regardless of their being sincere and insincere. Nobody can say Muawiyah was a Jahil. Nobody can say that. He had knowledge, okay? But his knowledge, when it manifested itself itself in a corruptive way. Okay? When the Imam, when his knowledge manifests itself, it manifests itself in an enlivening manner. So we as teachers, if we are there just to pass the time, then it will show. But if we are there to bring about change in ourselves and in others, it will also show.
Questions? We have sister.
How can I improve my skills in teaching? Even as she said, sometimes you've got professional, you've got the qualities, but as a teacher, you always need that improvement in teaching and going back, the new proper changes, because you cannot teach in for the way like it was in the past 10 years. You always need to improve yourself. You always need to improve your skills as a teacher. What's the best advice you can give me as a teacher to improve myself in teaching?
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
I look at my teachers in giving this example. Okay, I know how I was taught, particularly when I was a Hausa student. And I was taught, I think, by two of the best scholars that have been in this country. Hujjatul Islam wal Muslimin, Sheikh Dhafar Abbas, and Hujjatul Islam wal Muslimin, Sheikh Munir Turayhi. When I look at them, I don't think you can get better in how a teacher reflects on their teaching and how a teacher wants their students to develop. And when I look at them and I reflect almost 30 years ago, they were always open to betterment, and they would always say, and if you're asking me how do you improve, this is what they would say: read the Quran. Read the Quran. In your spare time, read the Quran. Again, read the Quran. It's only maybe 10 years after I left the house, when I was reflecting on what they said, I said to myself, it's not just the reading they were saying to do. It's the reflecting on the meaning in the ayats which give life. If you root yourself within the Quran, no matter where you are, you will shine as a teacher. The Quran guides to that which is best in so many ways. As a mother, as a brother, as a sister, as a father, as a child, as a teacher. If that is your guide, you will always improve. Now, there are two types of improvement which I will mention. There is the improvement in attitude and there is the improvement in skill. The latter one, we should always find an honest critique or an honest somebody who is honest in their criticism of our practice. And we ask them to come into our classroom. And we ask them to observe our teaching. And we ask them to honestly feedback on the strengths that we exhibit and any areas where we need to improve. When you have an individual within your faculty who you can turn to and get honest feedback from, you have found somebody who is invaluable with regards to your development as a professional teacher. And make no mistake, you are professionals. This idea that I'm in the madrasa only 2 hours or 3 hours, so therefore I can bring any type of behavior to the madrasa, it needs to be left at the door. We are professionals regardless if we do not have a teaching qualification. Okay? Professionalism does not mean I have a PGCE. Professionalism means I have embraced professional Islamic standards and I am working to implement them within the madrasa. Okay? So we are all professionals. So, Khanum, this is what I would say.
We have a sister there.
You talked about the relationship with children in the madrasa. I mean, do we have enough time? How would we implement that? Because, I mean, I know there are parents with children with problems at home. I mean, are we skilled enough to deal with those as well as trying to teach them as well? I mean, how do we implement creating a relationship with the child and being practical at the same time?
That's a very good question. Remember that we, inshallah, that in some madrasas, we have a variety of professionals. So in Haydari, where I've been for, I think about 15 or 16 years, we have SEN teachers. We have an on-site social worker. Okay? These individuals are skilled in that aspect of the professionalism which we encounter within the madrasa. I'm not asking us or suggesting that we become counsellors and pry into the everyday lives of our children. But what I do mean is this, that even though we have limited time, we have to find a way to connect with who our students are. How is that done? In the 50 minutes we have. We smile. We greet them by name. And we ask them, how are you? If their personality is not stable, then what we are going to do is we're going to teach and we are going to place something on an unstable foundation. We have to work to stabilize the foundation. Once the foundation is stable, then we can give the knowledge which will strengthen that stabilization. So Abi, smile to a child. How are you, Muhammad? How are you, Zainab? Oh, it's lovely to see you. Look how you're standing. You're standing so nice. And I marked your work, Arsia, and I thought it was fantastic. They may not be told this at school. At school, they may go unnoticed. They may have never received any positive reinforcement with regards to their presence in a particular environment. And this is what we're doing. How long does that take? Yes? So, find the ways within your practice to connect with your learners. There are many ways, and all circumstances are not the same. But we have to find the ways to connect to our learners. So I'm going to say thank you very much to you. Congratulations again in your teaching. I'm sure that in your professional practice, you bring something very special to the lives of our young boys and our young girls. And inshallah, may Allah Azza wa Jalla reward you.